Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About Houses. I'm Todd.
I'm Oana.
Okay, so the question we are going to talk about today is, are real estate prices going up too fast? And this is a concern for a lot of people because people are used to like price appreciation, 3% a year, kind of going up normal. And this is the second time probably ever in Las Vegas there's been this boom. Okay, and so the last time that this happened, there was a crash at the other end. Because that was there was some artificiality, a bunch of stuff.
Right.
So let's first talk about, is it possible for like prices to go up too fast in the real estate market?
Well, it's obviously everything's possible, right? We're living through it. So yes, you've got inflation, you've got all sorts of things going on. In this case, the prices are going up quickly because of the lack of supply and the expanded demand as the market is shifting, and we have a couple generations simultaneously entering the buyer's market. So the largest group of home buyers yes,
in the history of buying houses, bigger than the baby boomers buying houses.
Yes.
Or they weren't baby boomers, they were the parents of the baby boomers buying houses after World War II. That was the second largest one. Now this is the largest. It's the largest home buying boom, and it's the millennials and Gen Zs. But
absolutely,
go ahead.
Yeah. So you've got that going on. So you've got this upward pressure from that. You've got upward pressure from the lack of inventory. There's the upward pressure from the price of labor, the price of materials, the scarcity. So there's a lot going on that's baked into all this. And then, of course, what we're dealing with, the money that's being pumped into the economy from the government. So there's so much going on. But this does not mean that it's an unhealthy market or that the prices are necessarily going up too fast. For the most part, at this point, the prices are going up at a rate that is justified by what's happened in the marketplace.
Okay, I want to talk about that. So it's going up based on what's justified in the marketplace. Now, most people want to get they want to find out as much as they can with as little information as possible. They want to generalize everything. If you don't believe it, look at how news works. People just read the headline and then they don't even read the article, right? And then the headlines are meant for specific reasons, but not necessarily to convey information, accurate information.
Twitter,
perfect. Okay, so people don't really want to find out. So what happens is people see what happened before, people that remember. They see the prices go up, and then they see real estate prices go up. So they're all assuming, well, that's now going to crash. And if for sure that was the case, then is there a way to short the housing market, right? Wouldn't the guys that shorted the housing market short it again? And because they shorted it. They made a movie, The Big Short, and they shorted the housing market. But there's really not a way to do, nobody's doing that right now, at least not the way it was being done last time. So here's the thing. People are very simple in a lot of respects. They associate something and they will refuse to believe anything different.
Well,
it's confirmation bias. So this is confirmation bias. The market went up last time it crashed. This time it's going up. It must crash. So my question is it possible that there's this equilibrium prices for house, and we'll say it's here, and they've actually been below the equilibrium? Artificially below. Is it possible that for years and years, artificially, because of structural resistance and friction in the real estate market and things like that, and all of a sudden, because of COVID and a bunch of things that happen at once, all the friction's been removed, and all we're doing is going back up to where equilibrium should be? I mean, is that a possibility?
It is a possibility. I think that it's a little more complicated than that, in the sense that this is a very unique market, right? We've never had a market before where we have so many individual home buyers coming to the market at one time. And at the same time, we've never had a market that also has all these institutional buyers like Zillow, Opendoor, and OfferPad, and all these
and hedge funds,
and all these people coming in at the same time. So there's so much pressure on the buyer side, meaning there are just so many buyers compared to the number of homes available and compared to the capacity that builders have to put up new homes. That's really what's driving prices. It is this exorbitant demand. Now, it's interesting because I met with clients today, and we kind of had a conversation along these lines, and they said to me, what's going on? Is this even sustainable? And I just said, well, number one, I don't necessarily know that it works in the same way in other markets, but in Las Vegas, all of our land that you see all around Las Vegas, that it's vacant land on the perimeter, it's owned by the federal government, and the federal government occasionally auctions off that land, right? And that's how builders get more land to build. Well, we haven't had a whole lot of that in the last couple years.
No.
So builders really don't have any land on which to build. So that's part of what's going on. The other thing that my clients pointed out is that they've been coming to Las Vegas for a very long time, and Las Vegas has always looked the same in the sense that whenever they come to town, there's building everywhere.
Yeah.
And it does not seem to stop. We have been here for a long time. You've been here since the 70s. I've been here since the 90s. And
since you were a child?
Yes, since we were children. Very, very small children. And that has been the case. Las Vegas keeps growing, right? And that's kind of what's going on. So that reflects the market in Las Vegas as far as the lack of land and the constant growth in Las Vegas. But the greater market in the country is definitely a picture of what's going on with two generations coming in at once to purchase homes, industrial buyers, and the hedge funds and all these things. So there's so much pressure, and it's not just in Las Vegas, it's across the country, and that's why there are so many places that are seeing this appreciation. And it's interesting to me because we have these people coming from California. I know we pick on you Californians a lot, and we love you. So we have these people coming in from California, and they're kind of in the same boat where they're selling their homes for the highest amount that homes have sold for, particularly in Southern California. So they're selling their homes for exorbitant amounts, and then they're coming here and they're buying homes for more than we've ever sold homes for here as well.
Right.
So there is that parity, if you will, between markets.
But that's normal. I mean, I've experienced that. I experienced that back in 2004 and 5 when I had people basically say to me, because we just had listings, mainly that was the business, was, well, how do you market to the Californians? Because I've noticed you bring in a lot of Are you doing advertising in California? Because Californians, when they see the prices here, they're willing to overbid by a bunch because that's what they're used to in their market. And the prices seem cheap here. Well, I don't think people, first of all, are that. I mean, some people probably, they just go, oh, well, in California, this house would be 5 times as much, so I'll just overpay. I'm not price sensitive, right? Because they think they can't figure out why the price is what they are. And then the other thing is people get in habits of how they transact life. And if you have only ever bought real estate in one market and there's a certain way that it's done there, and then you go someplace else where, because of maybe how realtors are transacting or how the people just naturally do whatever, it's different. It's different for people. And sometimes why are there so many offers? Why do I have to do this? I've never had to do this before when I bought a house.
Right.
So, the question is that we're talking about here is, are home prices going up too quickly? And the question is that in 2005-06, when the market kind of kept going up and inventory took off and started rising, and then the market stopped, you could see there was something bad that was getting ready to happen. We had 27,000 homes on the market in 2006 at one point. That's when we were doing the radio show. That's when we got the bright idea to switch over and start doing REO. Arizona, they had over 60, in Phoenix, they had over 60,000 homes in the MLS.
That's crazy.
Okay, but so I think the question is are people, do you think people are this is like a cryptocurrency? People are chasing it because I remember people before saying, hey, I want to buy a house a year from now. But I'm seeing prices going up and I don't want to pay 50, 60,000 more. I'm just going to bite the bullet and do it now. Mm-hmm. And I remember people did that in 2004. They said, wow, it's starting to go up, and they jumped right in. It's sort of that rush, fear of missing out, right? So do you think that maybe is falling in
Absolutely.
A little bit?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, I've seen that firsthand with my own clients. Absolutely. So that there is a lot of that where people are saying, look, I started looking maybe in January and prices were here, and now maybe it's April. And I should have bid 10,000 more or whatever more back in January, because I would have gotten a steal compared to what I'm paying now in April. And it's only 3 months difference. So that's definitely been happening all year long. People are not rather than having buyer's remorse because they overpaid, they're having buyer's remorse because they didn't overpay when they had the opportunity to get what now seems like a deal, but then it didn't seem like a deal.
Okay. In the stock market, when a stock takes off, throughout the climb of the price, people do what's called profit taking. Investors say, hey, this is going to end at some point. I've made some money. I'm going to pull it out. People do it in real estate too. The investors who own investment properties, and mostly not necessarily homeowners. There's more friction with moving when you have a family and all the other stuff. But if you're an investor, like, why aren't investors like? Because I am not seeing investors taking advantage of the prices to say, you know what? I've been thinking about it for a couple years. I'm going to go now and take my profits. And is part of the problem that they don't want to pay the taxes, or if they 1031 exchange, wherever they go, there's no cheap markets.
Right. So, it's interesting that you say that, because I was talking with another client this morning, and what they said to me was that they thought about selling their rental property, but if they sold it, they couldn't get something comparable. And if they put the money in the bank, it would just sit there and devalue. So they're not going to sell. They're going to go ahead and fix up the property and put it back on the market to rent.
Okay. Yeah, because there's not a better place to put their money. And I think that's an interesting thing that we say our prices going up too fast. That if there's not a better place to put your money, real estate overnight sort of became this, not speculative, but attractive, like that it had value. But what happens is, in the stock market or in cryptocurrency, prices can go up instantly. A company IPOs and then it goes up 70% on IPO day. The real estate market doesn't happen that because of the appraisal system. And then there's just the structural way people bid on houses, and it takes a lot of time. But it is possible that real estate is becoming this attractive asset with an equilibrium value, we'll call it. And it's chasing that as it climbs. And then the only concern is does the actual equilibrium value drop at some point, and it has to correct to that, or does it just maybe a new normal? It just climbs up and levels off, and we sit around for a couple of years.
Right. So I think it's going to continue to climb for a long time.
Okay.
And I don't say that lightly. Just looking at numbers, by the time the market is saturated with the people that are chasing homes, it's going to take a long time, simply because there isn't the supply, because people like the investors that I talked to today, they're not putting their homes on the market, which means that the satiation of these buyers is going to have to happen through not just resale, but through new home construction. And in most markets, that new home construction, it takes a long time. There are other factors involved with keeping that slow, whether it's anti-growth and that sort of thing, or in Nevada and in Las Vegas, where we have limited land available because it's owned by the federal government, and we need for them to sell that to the builders. So there are all kinds of structural issues with building new homes, right? And like I said, it just takes time to build them. So because of that, it's going to take a long time. So because it's going to take a long time, these prices will continue to climb, and this will become the new normal. Okay. I think maybe a year from now, people are going to look back on whatever the prices are at today and go, I wish I would have bought. There's going to be a lot of regret. Yes.
I did another video. We did another video that said that that you're making words to the effect of you're making a mistake if you don't buy a house. Do you remember what it was called? It was something like that.
Something like that.
Like why you don't want to miss out on buying a house. I'm going to put that video right here so you can see, watch the video, and then I'll probably in a year from now repost it and tell everybody that I was right. But I do want to point out one thing, because we're going to wrap up this video for a second. But I want to point out one important thing. We have been doing the videos now since 2009, so for about 12 years. And I get accused quite a bit by people who say, well, you realtors are always say the market's going to go up, right? But actually, this is not good for us for a lot of reasons, for two reasons. Real estate agents actually, remember, we make money whether the market goes up or down because we're doing transactions. Real estate agents actually prefer a very even market where there's no appreciation, no depreciation. It kind of crawls along because it's easier to transact when there's 12,000 houses on the market and your client wants to see 5 or 6 and you show them and then you go write an offer and you're not competing because a couple things happen. It's more work if you're the listing agent to do all the offers with all the other people. It's more work as the buyer agent because now you're doing multiple showings, multiple offers, getting rejected and having to go back. It's a lot more work. The other problem is when you have prices like taking off like this, a lot of times people stop selling because they're riding the wave, and then we lose listings. There's no ability to get listings, which is so this thing is, oh, you guys always say that. We're not hoping for that. It's not like the stock market where stockbrokers maybe benefit, but their clients make money, or clients move stuff from different asset classes. It's kind of painful for us when that happens. It's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. So,
right. Plus, in the current market, remember, inventory levels are low, so we're also not able to turn as many transactions as maybe we could otherwise because the buyers are there, but the sellers are not. Yeah,
agents that work with buyers right now are pretty frustrated. They're having a very difficult time. Okay. So I think in summary, I think people do freak out a little bit that home prices are rising fast. It does cause them to make some irrational decisions. I don't believe this is what happened in 2005-06. No. False lending, that was all based on this fake lending and the wrong incentives for people to buy houses and a false sense of demand. This is real demand. These are potentially long-term sellers because hedge funds are going to keep the houses and just rent them out. I think what we're going to see is a shift to more tenants and less homeowners because every house a hedge fund buys is not owned by an owner-occupant. Fannie Mae, in their charter, it says that their goal is home ownerships for homeowners, not for hedge funds and things like that. So I think this is leading the charge. The percentage pool of actual home buyers is going to drop. Yes. And I think that is causing home prices to go up. Because these people are trying frantically, and we potentially create a class of people who they never have the ability. Like in Europe and other places, there are people who never will be able to buy because there's no new building. It's very expensive to buy a place, not including government regulations. And they're just going to stuck, and they're tenants their whole life. New York City's the same way, right? No, almost nobody owns a place in New York City unless you're super rich. Everyone's a tenant, and we have friends there that are relatively affluent, and they make good money, and for many years they've been, 20, 30 years, tenants living in buildings. Yeah. Kind of famous people too, right? That's how it is. Okay. Thank you for watching the video. If you made it to the end, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave us your comments. We want to know what you liked about the video, and if you have any suggestions for other videos we can do.
And if you know anybody who would like to watch the video, share the video. We like getting new subscribers.
Yep. All right. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.